culture clash, the Bible is not African because it has a hatred for African culture.
Okay.
And we see these people coming to Africa, the Muslims, the Jews, the Christians, all these people, they have they say they're heathens, they worship this and this and that. It's a total cultural clash. And y'all do not realize that.
Okay.
You're taking on a culture
I realize
that wants to kill you for your original culture.
Now, when the brother got to talking earlier alone, and I didn't record that, he got to saying that there's a certain thread that falls through African culture. But we can go back to the earliest recorded African culture, which is in Egypt, okay? Egypt have a history of monotheism, okay? So monotheism there's evidence that monotheism was practiced. And if I do further research and pull it up, I could pull up other tribes that I know that was monotheistic, all right? Now, so the idea that all Africans were polytheistic is just not true, all right? That's number one. This is fucking crazy. Yeah, so what I was trying to say was that the only difference that I saw was that the Israelites were not polytheistics. And some go as far as saying that Israelites were polytheistic and practicing a form of polytheism before Moses pulled the children of Israel out of Egypt, because surely they was practicing polytheism in Egypt. So the Israelites were polytheistic at one time. You understand? It was at one time that they threw away polytheism, as well as Egypt. Egypt even threw away polytheism before Israel did. You understand? So what he is saying is, even in that one, is not true. Israel had laws concerning agriculture. You understand, where you grow on the land, and on the seventh year you let the land rest. You know what I'm saying? So that shows that they understood agriculture and had a reverence for agriculture and plants. You understand? We had ancestor worship because I am like Yasha ben Israel, Yasha son of Israel, and everybody is ben Israel, ben Zokain, ben Yahuda, ben Ishakar. That's ancestor reverence. So, I mean, what he doesn't see, just because he doesn't see, basically, his whole premises is just built on fallacies and bad arguments.
And even the Bible shows you their mentality towards indigenous people and their culture, and that's why Joshua and them boys are told to wipe out those Cushites and wipe out these people because they're heathens and they don't.
Joshua, there's no record that Joshua was told to wipe out Cushites or wiped out Cushites or anything like that. And the Phoenicians were Phoenicians, they were Hamites, they were not Cushites. You know, so his information is flawed there. But I mean, the ignorant applause that.
I haven't read nowhere where Joshua told them to wipe out the Cushites anywhere, but I'll say this.
Those original Canaanites, brother, the original people that would have been in the Levant would have been Cushites.
No, they wouldn't.
No, they would have been black Canaanites, Hamites. No, that's what they would have been. But anyway, I don't want to argue that because I can care less. Okay, what I'm trying to state is that my contention with that argument is that prior to the 1700s, nobody called the continent of Africa.
No one cares about that.
I do, brother. I didn't interrupt you. Please give me that same respect.
But it's like I heard those.
But okay, great. But so hear it from me. I've heard what you said, and I wanted to interrupt, but I gave you that respect. And so if you know the argument, then put on your helmet and then let
it go. because the reality is this: your argument is no better than mine. Now you heard that argument before. I heard your argument before. Let us put those arguments together and let them fight and see which one is the better argument. That's what you don't want to do.
Let me give it, all right, because others have not. When you're dealing with the Banu Afrans, prior to the 1700s, was nobody in Africa called Africa, and the only people that was ever referred to in history is Africa, or the Afari, or the Afrikia, was the people in Northern Africa. And you're talking about, namely, people that are related to the Afri, the Banu Afrans, okay? And the Banu Afrans do practice Abrahamic religion, and the main one, I've met several Banu Afrans who told me that they were Israelites and their whole community know about it.
Okay, that's some random Jeopardy information, but what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter if Africa wasn't called Africa. It's called Africa today, just like Europe is called Europe, Asia is called Asia, America's called America.
What I'm saying is that
what this guy's trying to do is saying that etymology is irrelevant. What he's trying to say is history is irrelevant. What he's saying is that only thing matter is in the world is what they're called and known as today. And that is ignorant. That is a lack of cultural and moral relativism. You understand? And anybody who thinks that is good or intelligent is silly and foolish.
I just told you, when we say
people
Africa,
that were called Africans,
when we say Africa, bro, today we know that there's a golden thread of culture that runs through African culture. Okay, and that's why I gave you those tenets of indigenous African culture.
Well, let's assume we don't, and give us some examples of these golden threads that run through
ancestral worship. I just told you, ancestral worship. You ain't gonna go nowhere in indigenous African culture not find where they don't deify their ancestors. You're gonna find a pantheon of gods.
Well, we have, as Israelites, again, before ancestor worship, everybody is known as son of such and such, son of such and such, son of such and such. When you look off, just to say in Africa, you look at the African tribe called the Fulani. These are African people, okay? And these people are in Nigeria. They say that they come from Raum, Ibn Abraham, Ibn Ishkak. You dig what I'm saying? Ibn Edom. You said Ibn Esau. You see what I'm saying? Basically, they said that they come from Raum, son of Abraham, son of Isaac. You know what I'm saying? Son of Esau. You see, that's called ancestral veneration. When we talk about, again, Israelites they worship many gods. You know, they had that before that they had the oneness of Yahweh. They did not, Israel as a nation did not know the oneness of Yahweh until Moses. Prior to that, they were worshiping polytheism, and the world was worshiping polytheism. Abraham was monotheistic. Melchizedek was monotheistic. You know what I'm saying? Egypt, even at one point, was monotheistic, even before Israel. So that part is a lie. We have rules again inside of our Torah that tells us when and how to venerate the land. So you say that we don't have veneration for vegetables. That is a lie. So really, all of the premises that you say that are not there are present in the part of Israel history. For you to say that they're not, all of those are lies.
You go to the Zulu, the Yoruba, whether you go to what do they call those? The little people, the Twa. Anywhere you go in Africa.
And I wanted to say that, but I couldn't say that because he kept cutting me off disrespectfully.
Where Christianity and Islam hasn't hit, you're going to find that pantheon of gods, ancestral veneration, the science of plants and all that, which we call voodoo. You're going to find that in all indigenous African cultures. That's how you can identify at real Africans.
I don't know about you, okay, but me, outside of the pantheons of gods, and some are even trying to say the Hebrews even had that. Okay, I see all of that. Okay, you don't. I do.
Okay, brother.
I do.
All right. And this is what I mean by, like, it's just when you enter a certain faith, you're locked in, and so there's certain things you have to ignore in order to be in a cult. It's just the way it works. It's like there's no because if you go outside of that conversation, you have to start questioning certain things that you.
What did I ignore? I didn't ignore that what you said about the common thread of African people.
Nor is any of those things present that are cultish involved in this conversation. We're trying to have an intellectual conversation, and you're trying to introduce occultism because you are the esoterica. You are the biggest occultist out here in the game. You understand? You're the one pushing occultism, not me. I'm trying to have an intellectual conversation, and you're the one that keep pushing occultism and logical fallacies.
In fact, the only person here that seems to be ignoring something, I'm agreeing with you. But the only person here that seems to be ignoring anything is you.
What am I ignoring?
You're ignoring what I'm saying. When I sat up there and just told you, I don't know what you see, but I see that, you shot that down, brother.
Why would you say that if I said it? You don't know what I see, but you see it, and I'm the one who presented the vision.
Right. Well, because obviously you don't see what I see, and I'm telling you that I see that. Okay, these things that you don't see, I see them clearly.
What is that, bro? We're having a conversation.
And my eyes as good as yours. Why?
You asked me what
basically what I'm saying is why you don't see it.
Oh my God!
Why you don't see it is what I don't understand. When I can see it clearly.
You asked me what was these golden threads that you're talking about, and I gave them to you.
Yeah.
And now those are in opposition to Asiatic biblical culture. That's the point. So we know it's not African. You've taken on a foreign religion, brother. That's against yourself. Those people want to destroy you.
He's saying all of these things, but not proving anything, not leading us anywhere to go where we could look this stuff up. We have to trust his words because he's making all of this shit up. He's speaking from a seat of emotion. He's speaking from a seat of gaslighting. He's speaking from a seat of emotional abuse. You know what I'm saying? And these are abuses that his parents had bestowed upon him because he when he got older, he saw that none of the stuff that his parents taught him was real. You understand? And that's his parents' fault for emotionally abusing him like that.
They've been destroying our people ever since they came in to Africa with that nonsense.
How have they destroyed me, brother, or anybody?
Muslims and the Jews, bro.
How, brother?
They destroyed your people. Enslaved your people.
Jews did not destroy your people, brother. Jews did not destroy my people.
Your biblical story is based upon the destruction of indigenous people.
European Jews did not destroy my people. I tell you what did, though.
Oh my God!
I tell you what did, though. That's
a shame, bro.
I have to say that because what they're trying to say. What they're all trying to say is that black people are following a foreign culture, which is not a black culture. What they're trying to say is that black people are following European white Jewish culture. That's what they're trying to say. And there's no history of European Jews involved in the conquering or enslaving or any of that of black people, or the mixing or the mating or none of that. But what did happen, when I'll tell you about it, was that there was black Jews that was involved, and I'm saying that these black Jews was just as African as any other African people there. And what I'm trying to say is that Africans has been beefing and warring amongst each other since the beginning of time. You understand what I'm saying? And we can go back as far as the earliest written records. Let's read the Alphine Papyri. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you look on there, you'll see Egypt and Kush has been fighting from the very time the Nubians, from the time that Egypt was started to the time that Egypt came to an end. And that is a fact. This brother doesn't know what he's talking about.
I tell you what did though, African Jews did. Did you not know that the Acans were the biggest slavers in Africa? And did you not know that the Acans were Jews?
All right, then they're Jews though.
Yeah.
So that shows you once again.
No, it does not, because what you were trying to project to the people was that European Jews did this. And now that I debunked that whole idea, what you're trying to say is that Jews had attacked African people. And what we're saying is that we don't have no evidence. There's no records in there says that there were any wars or anything like that that has happened unto African people. See, if you understood the system of slavery, it was people that were criminals in their own society that were sold as slaves. Let's say, for instance, our society, the Israelite law said, thou shalt not kill. You understand? And if there was a man inside the Israelite communities that was killing, then he was one of those that was sold off into slavery. You understand? If it was one in there that was in there committing adultery, you understand? He was one of those that was in prison, judged, and then sold off into slavery. You understand what I'm saying? If it was one in there that was in their community stealing, thou shalt not steal. If it was one in the community stealing, it was he that was judged, convicted, and then in prison, and then sold off into slavery. So you got to understand the history of slavery, my brother. It wasn't African people, Israelite people going around just enslaving other people. Then we had the prisoners of war. When we went to war with other people, you understand? When we took captives and prisoners of war in the midst of war, everything is fair in love and war, my brother. There's no rules to war. It's about fight to the death, battle to the end. Whoever wins, wins, brother. I mean, it's as simple as that. So if an Israelite had a prisoner of war, it was that prisoner of war that was sold off into slavery. It wasn't just Israelites going around here enslaving people, brother. You're talking crazy and you're talking stupid. You don't know history.
People that are in those religions attack African people. You just proved it. Whether they be black, white, or whatever. And even y'all attack African people at times. Which,
oh, brother. The people in those religions attacked African people. Even y'all attacked African people. My birth certificate reads African American, brother. Okay, so if Africans, if you have no history of me ever attacking African people, for number one, that's a lie. So when you say y'all and you're arguing with me, you first must start off with me. He has no history of me ever attacking African people. I am at one with African people. You know what I'm saying? And that's simple as that. But this guy is saying that we attack African people. We do not attack African people. What the One West camps attack African people, and we're not One West camp. So now this brother is involved in a straw man argument. He's talking real fast. He's talking real swift. You understand? And he's accusing me of things that he should be attacking other Israelites to do that with. And he should know that all Israelites don't practice the same things. The only Israelites that hate Africans are those that come from 125th in New York, the One West camps, and those that is knockoff branches. Don't no other Israelites teach hatred for black people, and those are not even Israelite. Those are Judeo-Christian Israelite cult. That's what they are. You dig what I'm saying? And he's want to attack me and accuse me and all of that. But there is no history of any of these things. You understand? There's no history of these wars, these attacks, these enslavements. There is no history of that. Any enslavement that were ever done in Africa was done up under strict rules and strict principles. And the person that was doing the enslaving, the powers that did the enslaving, was thus justified because that was their way of handling law. That was their way of handling Torah. When you violated the law, when you violated the Constitution, you goes off into slavery. And that's just how it goes, brother. And it's been like that for thousands of years. For anybody to have a problem with how the world was ran 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 500 years ago, 100 years ago, is a person who lacks cultural and moral relativism. And that's not the people's fault. That's the fault of the abused. That's the fault of the gaslighter. And the gaslighter and the abused in this case happens to be none other than Lex Vortex. This is the reason why he's raising his voice, getting loud.
Your rhetoric. It is a hate-filled, warmongering religion that went around the world conquering and enslaving people, and y'all take it on because you hate yourselves, bro.
That's a very subjective statement, brother.
It's subjective because there's no history to support this. He made this up. It's an emotional, and it's a statement. It's a gaslighting statement. Okay, it's a fallacious argument, and it's rooted in non-facts. It's just not real. It's some shit he's making up.
One place where this
There's no history of Judaism ever going around the world enslaving people. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that needs to be proven because that is a lie. Whether it's European Judaism, Chinese Judaism, Indian Judaism, African American Judaism, there's no history of Judaism at all going around the world enslaving people. That is a lie.
That hasn't enslaved and killed our people.
Show me. You say repeat that again.
Show me one place where the Christians, Jews, and Muslims have went and have been killed and enslaved our people.
I can't show you nowhere where Jews enslaved have killed our people.
Oh my God, bro. Okay, man. Okay.
I can show you where black Jews enslaved them. I can't show you that. But I also, but I also can say is that
that when they enslaved them, they were following the judicial system of their day. You know what I'm saying? That's just how the world was ran at that time. What is understood should not have to be explained. Again, for me to have to explain that to you, you know what I'm saying, is a lack of cultural and moral relativism on your part, okay? You should not have to be standing here getting emotional with me, talking about hatred. There's no emotions involved as I speak. This is the man speaking from a place of emotion. Listen to his voice. And that emotion is aggressive, and it's anger-filled, and it's filled with abuse and hate.
It's sad, bro. That's why it's sad, bro. Like, we are really truly a destroyer. Y'all are right about one thing. When we say people destroyed mentally, like we lost our identity so much and went through so much pain that y'all don't know subconsciously you want to be the oppressors. That's why you want to be Jews.
That's crazy.
When the book tell you,
that's crazy. That's really crazy. There's no evidence for none of these things. This is just subjective talk. It's absurd. You know?
The book turns God into a racist that doesn't like other people. That's not God. That's their politics. What kind of God creates everything and has all these children, and then says, "Oh, but
Okay.
some of my children ain't worth shit. Fuck them. Go kill them." And this is why. Hold on, brother. This is why people take on the same mentality as this character that they created in this book, and they think that the all-powerful God is a petty-ass human. He's a racist. He's a racist real estate agent. And it's crazy, bro. Like, it's crazy. Like, if God is that petty, then the universe is in serious trouble. Where God, the only way God can solve his problems with all his power is through violence. He had to kill the Canaanites when he had the power to snap his finger and waken them to enlightenment or whatever he wanted. And then he couldn't do it himself. He had to use human beings as his army. And y'all don't see that that's human politics.
No, I don't. And I'm going to tell you why.
That's human politics. That ain't got nothing to do with a God, bro. That's people using the name of God.
I'm going to tell you.
All this guy's doing is using demagogic rhetoric. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing but pure demagogic rhetoric. Demagogic rhetoric.
Just like when the Twin Towers went down, George Bush and them prayed to God. They had a whole thing. And they tried to act like God was behind. And that's what these people have been doing to our people, the Muslims, Jews, and Christians. When the Christians came over here, they said Jesus gave them the right to come over here. When the Muslims came in Africa, Allah gave them the right. When Joshua supposedly goes into Canaan, God told him to go. And y'all ain't figured out when a motherfucker say God told him to do something, that's in their own goddamn human political mind, seeking power, land, and resources from other people.
All of that statement, that whole thing was nothing but a statement from solipsistic moral relativism, brother.
That is a statement from solipsistic moral relativism and cultural relativism, and is nothing more than demagogic rebel rousing. You understand what I'm saying? And rhetoric. You understand? And none of that stuff is boosting facts. It's rhetoric. It's talk designed in a way to arouse the crowd, by speaking emotionally to the crowd, using a bunch of gish gallop. You know what I'm saying? When none of the stuff is rooted in facts. Gish gallop is when somebody throw out a barrage of half-truths and lies trying to overwhelm the audience. You know what I'm saying? Because he couldn't overwhelm me. And look at the emotion and how he's speaking. All of that is nothing more than demagogic rhetoric.
That's all it is, brother. A lack of moral relativism. And it's very, very silly. It's very, very silly for you to look in the eyes of 2022 and judge the world 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago by the standards and morals of what you say in 2022.
God doesn't change, right?
That is ridiculous.
Hold on. This is what I'm saying.
That is ridiculous. And I'm going to keep talking because I had the mic and I need.
Right, God doesn't change, and guess what else? History doesn't change. You know what I'm saying? But people do, and times do. You know what I'm saying? And if you think they don't, then that's just stupid. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people used to walk, and before they walked, they rode horses and camels and mules. You understand what I'm saying? Animals. And then before they did that, you understand, they started riding canoes and boats. And before that, someone built the automobile. And before, you know what I'm saying? I mean, not before that. And then after that, it's after those things I meant. They began to ride in airplanes and all different kinds of. Now they got skates and hoverboards and motorcycles and scooters. They got all kinds of ways and different aircrafts in which people get around. So you just can't. That's just a stupid, ignorant, fallacious bunch of gish gallop that is built up on solipsism, a lack of cultural relativism, a lack of moral relativism, and nothing more than just demagogic rhetoric.
The respect that you
That
have.
sounds
If I
ridiculous,
get cut off again, then we can end this conversation.
All right,
brother.
well, let's end it, bro, because I don't want to hear no more. I'm done,
let's
bro.
end it then.
All right, yeah, because you're childish. God is changed according to the Bible.
You're childish. I acted like a man, and I did what a man was supposed to do. I let a man speak, okay? It is children that disrespect grown men. When I speak, you disrespected me by interrupting. You're childish, brother.
Okay.
And the evidence show that, brother.
You're under a program, brother.
And you wanna that's the problem with you atheist Negroes. When
I'm not an
when
atheist.
a person begins,
I'm not an atheist, sir.
Well, it's a problem with you. You being in general, brother. General speak.
I'm not an atheist.
If I throw a bottle in the pack of dogs, if I throw a bottle in the pack of dogs, the only one that's going to holler is the one that got hit, brother.
God,
the problem with you non-Abrahamic, non-Hebrew Negroes, brother, and you is that.
You believe God uses human beings as his personal army.
Is that when an intellectual begin to speak, you begin to cut them off, just like Garfield, just like Chris, just like the rest.
Yeah,
I mean, truthfully, I could cut you off because everything you said was a bunch of bullshit, brother.
Okay, then pull it out right now. Show and prove God now.
No, the conversation is ended. I would have if you wouldn't have ended the conversation.
You can't do it, bro.
I can do it, but if you would have respectfully had the conversation, in fact, I was doing it. And you kept interrupting, so the conversation can go to the left.
So this man stated that we as Hebrews have a 7,000 year chronology, biblical chronology. All right, 7,000 years. So we can see in 3,761 BC, the world is created according to the Hebrew calendar. And an obscure sage, basing himself on no source but the Bible, Rabbi Joseph ben Halafta, who lived in the 2nd century BCE, sat down and did the math. October 7th, 3,761 BC is the date on which the world was created, according to the Hebrew calendar that governed the passage of time according to the Jewish calendar. So that's October 7th, 3,761 BC is the date which the world was created, according to Yosef ben Halafta. Okay, so that would leave the world to be 5,783 years old. How is this man talking about biblical chronology? There is no biblical chronology that goes back 7,000 years. As we can see here, James Ussher, it reads, the chronology is sometimes called the Ussher-Lightfoot chronology because James Lightfoot published a similar chronology in 1642 through 1644. Thus, however, is a misnomer, as the chronology is based on Ussher's work alone and not that of Lightfoot. Ussher deduced that the day of creation was October 23rd, 4004, on the proleptic Julian calendar near the autumnal equinox. Lightfoot deduced that the creation date at nightfall near the autumnal equinox, but in the year 3,929 BC. So, looking at the chronology, you got 4,004 BC plus 2022 leaves you with 6,026 years. Again, no chronologist ever stated nothing about 7,000 years timing going. No biblical chronologist ever said that Adam or Abraham or Israel chronology go back 7,000 years. And if you wanted to use the date, and these are the dates of creation now. 500. If you want to use the date 3,929 BC, the date of creation, and then that would only means that the Earth is 5,951 years. No biblical chronologist ever chronologized the Earth, the Earth, Adam, Abraham, or even Israel at 7,000 years. This is all made up demagogic rhetoric that's not rooted in no facts.
15. Estimates of the age of the YMRCA range around 200,000 to 300,000 years ago, roughly consistent with the emergence of anatomically modern humans.
So we look at the Y chromosome Adam here. The Y chromosome Adam, so he couldn't even been talking on no chronological level, whether it was biblical or scientific. Nobody support this 7,000 year stuff that he made up. He just made that up, and he has no basis. I would like to see him demonstrate how he came up with these 7,000 years. And everybody swear that he won and did something great on that. He's just making up stuff. And, Y chromosome Adam, goes back 200,000 to 300,000 years ago. You see, and if we could push this and read about it, it simply says this. By definition, it is not necessary that the YMRCA and the mitochondrial MRCA should have lived at the same time. While estimates as of 2014 suggest that the possibility that the two individuals may well have been roughly contemporaneous, the discovery of archaic Y haplogroup has pushed back the estimated age of the while estimates as of 2014 suggested the possibility that the two individuals may have been roughly contemporaneous, the discovery of archaic Y haplogroup has pushed back the estimated age of YMRCA beyond the most likely age of the MTMRCA. As of 2015, estimates of the age of the YMRCA range around 200,000 to 300,000 years ago, roughly consistent with the emergence of the anatomically modern humans. So there's no biblical or scientific chronology support his 7,000 year made up bullshit.